Hit it, Phil.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze. It's Jackson time. La-da-da-da.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benning speaking. Welcome to our Jack Paar Spectacular. I thought I'd come on and explain a little bit about what you're going to see, because it's a little different than usual. So this first episode is going to be the Jack Benny Show with his guest, Jack Paar. Wonderful episode, and we'll talk all about it. After that, you'll have our discussion, but we accidentally recorded two different discussions, two different times about the episode, so you can get both discussions back to back. Then we have another episode. This time it is... Hugh Downs was Jack Parr's announcer, and so Hugh Downs is the guest on the Jack Benny Show along with Hudson, and they do a spoof of the Jack Paar Show. So I thought that tied in really well. So we will do that as well, and then when that's done, there'll be a discussion about that episode. So stay tuned. You get 2 episodes, 3 discussions, crazy times. And we'll see you next time. Stay tuned.
Right after this episode.
For our discussion.
Jack Benny program with Jack's special guest, Jack Paar.
Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show. Now, first of all, I'm going to try and be serious for just a moment, because I don't want to get involved in any of that trouble that television is now having in Washington. I certainly don't want to lose my job as an entertainer, and I don't want to be called in for any of these hearings. So in keeping with the new CBS policy, I'm going to tell the truth about everything from now on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to straighten out a few things right now. I made some notes right here. Now, first, here's something I wish I didn't have to disclose, really, but as long as I'm forced to be truthful, here goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not 39 years old. No, really, I'm not. The only reason that I am saying that I'm 39, because I was tricked into this, you see, on account of my very, very youthful appearance. But as long as I'm telling the truth, I must go along with it. You might as well know that in February, I will be 43. Without any trouble. And now for my cast. Now, for over 20 years, I have led you to believe that Rochester works for me as my butler. Now, that isn't true at all. In real life, Rochester is a very fine actor. He has his own home. He owns a most expensive sports car. And during the year, he gives about 5 or 6 lavish parties in his home. Now, I know that's true because on several of those occasions, I've worked for him. Now we come to, incidentally, he tips beautifully. And now we come to Don Wilson. Now, it is true that Don Wilson has been my announcer for about 25 years. But it is not true that he is a big, fat man. No, Don is... No, really, Don is not fat at all. Actually, Don Wilson weighs 132 pounds. But before each show, we blow him up. I've always wanted a fat announcer on my show, and and air is cheaper than food. And now, getting on with the show, I'm going to present my singing star. But before I do, I'd like to clear up something about him, too. Now, I've always led you to believe that Dennis Day is a silly kid who drives me nuts and who is extremely underpaid. Now, nothing could be further from the truth. Dennis is a brilliant young man, very smart and very talented. And I'd like to have you meet him, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to sing Dennis Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I would like to sing Climb Every Mountain from the new Mary Martin show, The Sound of Music.
Now, wait a minute. Hold it just a minute for you. Dennis, what's the idea of coming up on the stage dressed in that usher's uniform?
Once in 20 years I didn't have time to change, and you make a big thing out of it.
What?
I heard you tell the people I wasn't underpaid. If I didn't have this extra job, I'd be as thin as Don Wilson.
Dennis.
I've seen him before he was pumped up.
Look, Dennis.
He looks like a laundry bag in a nudist camp.
He does? Well, now, Dennis, that's still no excuse for you coming up here on the stage dressed like that. And that.
Well, you see, I did it on account of my girl. She likes men in uniform.
You mean your girl knows that you're an usher?
Oh, no, she thinks I'm a big shot. I told her that CBS means Controller Ballistic Satellites.
No.
When I'm late for a date, I tell her I was on the moon.
On the moon. And Dennis, now, I don't know your girl. I've never met her. Do you mean to tell me that she believes a fantastic story like that?
Oh, sure. She even believes you're 43.
Now, Dennis, listen. Get rid of that silly outfit and get ready for your song, will you?
Okay.
Right. Oh, stop. I take back what I said. What a crazy kid, really. How would you really like to have him ahead of our missile department? Hey, we might be better off. Dennis, are you ready for your song?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, hurry up, will you?
Jack.
What?
Jack.
Oh, Don. Hello, Don. This is Don Wilson and Joyce. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Joyce Davidson, our Lux girl. Don, what do you want to see me about? Huh?
Well, Jack, Dennis isn't quite ready yet, so I thought maybe this would be a good time to do the commercial.
Well, yes. Oh, wait a minute. I see you're all pumped up, huh?
Your fingernail.
Oh, I'm That's all right. Now, Don, about this, what have you got prepared for the commercial? Listen.
Well, Jack, all I can say is that this is probably the most important beauty news you'll ever hear.
Oh, really? Well, I'd like to hear it. Go ahead.
Joyce,
Something new has
you
been
go.
added. Something new has been added.
Jack, this is really exciting news.
I know. Go ahead.
Well,
Jack,
something new.
something new and wonderful has been added to Lux Beauty Soap.
I know. Well, let her tell me. You said she was
Yes.
The Lux that's in your store right now is the new Cream and Rich Lux with a special lather that actually helps purify your skin.
I use Lux all the time.
Yes, wonderful new Lux has two new beauty benefits. Lather that cream softens your skin and actually helps purify away complexion troublemakers.
I use it all the time, you know. Of course, you see, the Lux has really done wonders for my skin. In fact, that's why Lux has hired me, you see, because I use it all the time. You can see. You can tell.
You know, Joyce, Jack will just do anything to keep his sponsor happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When he was with Lucky Strike, his skin looked like a tobacco leaf.
It did not. Watch it. Now we're overdoing it. Wait. Go ahead, continue.
are probably
We'll
more...
never get off today. Go ahead. Go ahead. Pardon me, I'm sorry.
There are probably more beautiful women
I'll get
in
off because
Hollywood...
I'm lousing up the commercial. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And me.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, there are probably more beautiful women in Hollywood than any other city in the world. And it's in Hollywood that these glamorous beauties are thrilled with new looks.
Yes, and I'd like to add another word. You know, since I've been with Lux, ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen...
Peachy Skin, when are you going to let me sing?
All right, sing now. Come on, let's go and let him sing, will you?
all the love you can give every day of your life, or as long as you live. I'm every mountain, but every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream, a dream that will need all the love you can give every day of your life, or as long as you live. I'm every mountain, but every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to my guest star. If you're bothered with insomnia, he needs no introduction. However, for those of you viewers who fall asleep before 11 o'clock, I would like to present a brand new star, Jack Paar. Jack? All right already, all right. Jack, I want to tell you, I can't tell you how nice it is having you on my show.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, you're welcome, Jack.
Now, Jack, I wanted to say this.
Now, look, Jack.
Yes, Jack.
No, well, this is what I want to talk to you about. We're going to get all confused, Jack, and I'm Jack and everything. I think that as long as we're going to talk together, we should, I mean, one of us should be called Mr. See, let's say the older one, you know?
Well, that wouldn't do any good because you and I are practically the same age.
How old are you, Jack?
66.
You're 66?
I'm a Lux boy, too.
I see. Well, anyway, really, Jack, I mean it. I can't tell you how much fun it is having you here on this show with me.
Well, it's nice to be back, Jack, and I really don't know if many of you know that my start in show business came through Mr. Benny. It was,
Oh, don't. I mean,
Go ahead. Actually, it was Jack Benny who taught me how to walk and how to talk and stage presence. I don't know whether you're familiar with the great theatrical expression that an actor's greatest pay is applause. He taught me that, too. Go ahead. Every payday, I used to go to Mr. Benny's home and ask for my pay, and he'd applaud me for 15 minutes.
No, 13. You see, I used to keep 2 minutes for withholding. But the reason I did that, Jack, is because I wanted to impress you with something. That is, for an actor, that money, you see,
Your eyes
is
are
not
blue, aren't they?
We'll end up with a Jack Paar show. I can see that. Jack, I wanted to impress you with the fact that money, that applause is more important to an actor than any material thing.
Well, you certainly impressed me, but it was hard to explain to my wife. One day, I remember she says, "Where's the money?" So I went like this. It made her so angry, she hit me with the baby.
That isn't true.
No, it's not true, and actually leveling with you, and you, too. You have been saying for years that your band carouses and drinks, and if they do, how could it be possible that 20 boys could be with you all these years?
No. That technically speaking, only 10 of the boys are still.
I see 20.
No, well, I know, but you see, it wasn't easy to find a taxidermist who would do the job.
Well, he certainly did a lousy job on Frank Remley.
Oh, no, that is Remley. No.
Yes. Uh-oh. Your taxidermist made a horrible mistake.
Why, what happened?
There's a moose playing the piano.
A moose! Oh, my goodness.
Well, it's his own fault for playing in season.
Well, Jack, let's get back to you. Now, I understand that you're going to be here for 2 weeks to do your own show. Is that right?
That's right. I'm going to be here for 2 weeks, but I was hoping I could get someone to replace me, and I'd run over to Honolulu for a little while.
Well, that would be wonderful, Honolulu.
I don't know how to say this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say this. Well, I once replaced you. Why is it possible you'd replace me?
Well, I don't know how to say it. But I'll tell you something. I wouldn't do your show for anything in the world. 5 nights a week, 1 hour and 45 minutes each night. Why, this is an art in itself. I couldn't. I wouldn't be. You're the only guy that can do this.
Well, that's true. But I was afraid. I was afraid you'd say that. I knew you'd say that. And that's why I have my set backstage, and we could try it out.
The set you use in New York?
We have it back there. We could try it out with your audience, and we'd see how it goes. Here's a contract.
No. I wouldn't do that. No. I'd be afraid.
But it'll be easy.
No, it'll be easy for you, not for me. Look, it'll be easy for you because you've got Charlie Weaver to help you out. Look what I've got. I've got Dennis Day and a blown-up announcer. Now, I wouldn't do it. I can't. I could only do a show like yours if I could have Charlie Weaver. Then maybe I could do it, but alone.
I can't bring Weaver at such short notice.
Well, then I wouldn't do it.
I would.
Well, then I would not do the show.
How do I know?
Well, I can't help it.
Jack. Excuse me.
Tell him you've got Charlie Weaver.
Weaver's back east.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Tell him. Go ahead, tell him.
We've got Charlie Weaver.
Oh, did Dennis say he's here?
He said he's here.
Oh, well, fine. Then we'll do it. Then I don't mind.
No.
What?
We're not going to walk in the set.
Oh.
We're not going to do that. We're going to have a theme and introduction like I have on my show.
Oh, well, then let's do it. Jack, now, how do we start? Now, I'm supposed to be you. When I do your show, I'm here. This is where you sit. Now, what do we do first?
First, you greet the audience and say hello, and,
You welcome the audience.
Something like that.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold it, Jack.
What?
It's time for the first commercial.
Already? I just got started.
It'll only take a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 17-jewel, shockproof, waterproof wristwatch. Now watch this remarkable demonstration. There you are. This hammer can be purchased at your local hardware. Continue.
Now, what do I do now?
You must separate the first commercial from the second commercial with a little anecdote or
A joke.
humor.
All right,
Joke.
all right. Let's see. I'll
Tell me
think
a
of
joke.
Well, let's see. Oh, here's one might be kind of good. There's a Scotchman was walking down the street barefooted, you see, and he was holding his shoes.
Jack, hold it. It's time for the second commercial.
Together? Why do you have to have the commercials together so close?
I have 78 sponsors.
78 sponsors, is that good?
It's wonderful. It would take them all about 2 years if they tried to fire me.
Oh, well, that is good. That is good. Well, let me tell the story anyway. Well, all right. Now, this Scotchman was walking down the street, you see, and he had his shoes in his hands. You see. And he was walking, and he was barefoot. Greatest piano player I've ever had. So long, Bagby. Now, what do we do next on your show?
Baby pictures.
Oh, baby picture. I'll be able to do it when I do your show.
Yes, when you do it, you
Oh,
can do
that's
these.
wonderful.
We have these captions for these sweet little baby pictures, and
Okay.
it's all very funny. All right, here's the first one. Drinking alone, baby. Unless you're the house detective, come in, Buster. Oh, good evening, Mr. Murrow. You're a little early, aren't you, Ed? Sweet caption. Sweet caption on this one. The caption is, Bob Hope had another great show.
Let's see that. Where did you get that silly picture of me?
Rochester took it last night as you were getting into bed.
I don't want these crazy... Listen, I won't do your show unless I can have Charlie Weaver. Now, I want Charlie Weaver. Listen, I won't do it without Charlie Weaver.
Somebody call my name? Well, these are my people. Hello, honey.
Charlie,
Yeah.
this is Jack Benny.
Oh, Jack Benny, nice to meet you. Local boy?
Jack Benny, the famous comedian.
Oh, yeah, well, why didn't you tell me? Well, Mama's talked about you. Yes, sir, saw you in Mount Ida at the Crawdad Room at Snyder's Swamp. Pleasure. Gee, what a handshake. I felt better muscles than a pound of liver.
What's wrong with my handshake?
Well, Sonny, let's put it this way. If you were locked in a barn with a milking cow, you'd starve to death.
Charlie, I hear that.
Yeah, what'd you say, honey?
I didn't bring you here to insult Mr. Benny.
Oh, well, I'm
Sit down.
terribly sorry, Mr. Say,
Yeah.
did anybody ever tell you you look like Leonard Box?
Leonard Box? No.
Are you sure you're not related to Leonard?
No, not at all.
Got the same hangdog eyes.
What? No, I don't know.
No boxes in your family?
No boxes in my family.
No boxes at all. Well, how do you carry out your rubbish? Oh, got a seizure.
This guy is wonderful. Listen, if I can have Charlie Weaver, I'll work. Here, I'll sign the contract. I'll work a month on your
sign the
show.
contract.
If I can have Charlie Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
There you are.
yes, oh,
Yeah.
he writes, too.
Right.
All right. Charlie, you can go now. Thank you, Charlie.
No, wait a minute, Charlie. Wait a minute, come
Charlie,
here.
go.
Come here. No, here, I want to talk to you a minute. Where are you going, Charlie?
Well, I got to be running back to Mount Ida. You see, I'm doing a telethon. We got to raise some money for new fire equipment. The stuff they got now is just a disgrace.
Pretty bad, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what happened. Last week, the firehouse went on fire and the hose wouldn't reach. Yes, sir. burned the whole thing down, lost the mascot and everything. Oh, it was terrible. It was one of the saddest moments of my life. I can remember it now. There was Wallace Swine reading the eulogy, and Gomar Cool, he was saying... Daniel! Jack Parr, wait a minute! Jack Parr, I want my copy.
No, you don't. You signed it. I signed it under false pretenses. That's it. I wanted Charlie Weaver, and you got me a crazy usher. Now, listen here, Dennis. This is your fault, too, you know?
You hit me, and I'll tell Mama.
Oh, stop! If you think I'm going to work with him, you're crazy. Hit the music. How can they hit the music? They're stuck. Not all. Oh, Dennis, you did a wonderful job as Charlie Weaver.
Yeah, thank you, honey.
So,
Looks like Leonard Box.
Jack, I want to tell you, it's so nice having you out. You were just wonderful.
If I was so wonderful, why don't you pay me?
What's that for?
You can keep the money, honey.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, next Sunday night, be sure to watch the George Gobel Show, which is sponsored by Stripe, the Stripe Red and White toothpaste. And I'll be back in 2 weeks when my guests will be my entire fan club from Pasadena, California. You mustn't miss it. And now, in keeping with the new CBS policy, we want to tell the truth. We want to show our viewers our live audience, if you please. Be careful going out of the parking lot. And watch yourself. Good night.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I have a nice full house today. It's awesome. And we are going to be talking about Jack Paar. He was on the Jack Benny show for this episode. Love seeing the two of them together. And just for my complainers out there who last time we talked about Jack Paar, I don't think it was me, but it might have been me. But somebody mentioned how he was I don't even think it was said. I think it was taken this way, but I don't think it was said this way. Someone got across that he was the host of the Tonight Show before Johnny Carson. And of course, everybody was up in arms about it in the comments section saying, no, Steve Allen was the first host of the Tonight Show. And I don't even think we said he was, I think we just said he was the host before Johnny Carson, which is true, but the host before Jack Paar was Steve Allen. So yes, so it's Steve Allen, Jack Paar, then Johnny Carson. And then Jay Leno, and then what? I don't know. It just keeps going. But no, it was actually before Jay Leno. No, after Jay Leno was Conan. Yes, Conan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I know there's a
Conan fan in the room.
Anyway, let's get everyone introduced here. We have Terry Phillips over here. Terry, do you have a new show in production or one that coming out, or I don't know where you're at?
Yeah, we have a new Imaginary Theater in development.
Uh-huh.
We have a stage version of the episode about Eugene Debs being developed also, and there is, excuse me, a possibility of a screen adaptation of one of the Imaginary Theater episodes. I don't want to say which one yet. Excuse me. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's probably all going to come out at the same time. So I'm just, holding on for dear life right now.
Oh,
and as if that weren't enough, I'm doing some stand-up comedy.
My goodness.
It's just, this is a weirdly busy time in my life.
Yeah, a golden time for you in some ways. That's
or at least silver.
Yes. Well, and since we all decided to start wear baseball hats today, I think as we introduce each other, we should talk about our baseball hats. So I will say my baseball hat was from a Mariners game because we do go to Mariners games occasionally, but it was the ultimate Mariners game for me because I'm a Star Trek fan, and so it was a Star Trek Mariners hat day, and so you got a free Star Trek hat at a Mariners game, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it works. And Terry, your hat is from?
That is the logo for the IBM creation known as Watson. And I'm wearing it because my sister used to work for IBM, and so she has a lot of corporate merch. And I'm in San Jose visiting my sister as we're recording this.
And what is Watson? Is Watson like
was
the
a
original like AI thing, or
it was a supercomputer, and yeah, kind of a forerunner to AI, I guess. And one of the connections for our group is that Watson played in an episode of Jeopardy, and so as a tip of the hat to Kathy, who did Jeopardy, I said Watson cap.
Excellent.
The hat is not a loser, unlike some of us.
So. That's right.
Well, let's ping over the other way since we just talked about Kathy. Kathy Fuller-Seeley is here, of course. And Kathy, what's your hat about?
Oh, this is one from my husband, who loves all things Volvo. And 2 summers ago, we were up in Portland, Oregon, at a Volvo show, and I found him the perfect Volvo that he had been trying to buy $500 junk versions of old Volvos to make this perfect little sports car that he wanted. That in the front looks like a Jaguar, and in the back looks like a Pinto. And here on the show field was one for sale, and it's his dream car. And it was not badly priced. And I said, I'm going to buy this for you, and you're going to sell the pieces of junk that litter our yard. He has sold one. So one piece of junk. So
there you go.
Whatever. It was a hat. I could be wearing my Tab hat, but it hides my face. So Tab
and
is
I was going to mention Tab. I was just, lately I've like seen Tab like mentioned more places again.
Yes, there was just an article in the New York Times about what do you do when your favorite consumer product disappears. Yeah. And they said and the article said the ultimate a group of fans trying to get their product back is us Tab fans. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And let's go over to Hope Sears. Hope, what hat do we have on?
I have, like Terry is in San Jose. I got the San Jose Earthquakes, which is a soccer team that they really suck. It's hilarious. It's really bad. But I went to a game with our Jack Benny Club president, Laura, and oh my gosh, it's so fun. It's so fun to root for the underdog that just plays hilariously bad.
And Hope, I should have mentioned when we were talking before we started recording this, my father briefly coached for the Earthquakes.
Oh, yeah?
When they were good.
A professional soccer player.
So well,
we did our best. But
yeah, no, I think they moved though to San Jose, right? I think they relocated. So
that's right.
Yeah,
out of town were they?
So. Yeah, I have heard they were once good.
They were.
But no more.
Well, I think I started this hat nonsense because I whacked my head. And whenever I see somebody with a wound on camera, I always find it distracting. So I thought, I'll just wear a hat. And I chose a Dodgers hat because when I was a kid, I must have been a Dodgers fan. Look at that.
Oh,
there you go.
Look at you.
Very nice. That's a lot of hair.
Yeah. I just moved it all down here.
Yeah. What's hilarious is your kid picture looks almost like my kid pictures. I was blonde and very blonde.
Yeah.
Almost white hair, so blonde, but yeah. Anyway, it's great to have everybody here. It's great to be talking about Jack Parr, who's just a fun guy to just chat about. So let's start talking about this episode a little bit. Let's fling it over to John. What were your thoughts on Jack Parr being on this episode and anything that stood out for you? Anything you want to talk about?
I have to admit, I never watched Jack Parr And, I've not, there's some people like Johnny Carson, who I never watched growing up. Obviously, it was sort of just before my time, but you see it around, and then I've gotten it on DVDs, and I've sort of been intrigued by it and caught up on Johnny Carson. Jack Parr has never really grabbed me in that way, so I don't really have any background for Jack Parr. So it was interesting, sort of as a historical thing, to see him on this and see where he fit in. This and the other episode that we're talking about, I feel like gives you an idea of what the whole Jack Parr thing was. I feel like the idea of the Tonight Show was maybe to be a little more loose and like, hey, anything can happen. We're just going along with it. Hey, it's an informal television.
So then they mention on here that it was an hour and 45 minutes, 5 nights a week. So that was, that's
so when Johnny first started the Tonight Show, it was like it was that long. Wow. And so there was not Johnny condensed it, because like Jack Parr indicated, it is a tough thing to do 5 days a week.
5 days a week, yeah.
It was not sustainable for
well
forever.
Even Johnny, it wasn't and I don't know how long it was, an hour and a half under Johnny, or if it was an hour and a half, hour and 45 anytime under Johnny. But I know that in the 70s, all the way up until almost 1980, like 78 or something like that, it was an hour and a half a night. And then it dropped to an hour a night, where it stayed for the rest of its run. But
plus, I would imagine
4 nights a week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I imagine with Jack Parr, it was probably live as well. Like now they do live to tape, where they pre-record for an hour, but this was probably live at night, so that's even more taxing.
Right.
Exactly.
And Johnny's was also live.
Oh yeah.
Eventually it went to live on tape. By the time when I went to see the show, it was recorded at, I think it was 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But maybe back in New York it was.
Yeah.
In New York.
As I feel like Mark Malkoff has kind of interviewed a lot of people over it. It was taped, but they rarely went back to edit anything unless something absolutely host or a guest
or if they messed up a commercial. Too bad. You can't do that.
Or it would have to be something insane, like somebody breaking down crying for can't uncontrollably for so they pretty much kept it as it is, because I think they understood the live element is such a incredibly great thing to capture.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw out something that stood out to me on this particular episode. I loved the interaction between the two Jacks, because you don't see Jack Benny so loose so often, and just seeing him play off of Jack Parr and just Jack Parr had all these physical idiosyncrasies sort of things going on. And Jack would play on that later when he imitates Jack Parr in another episode we're going to present. But seeing him just in the moment joke about however Jack Parr was reacting, and he didn't do it once. He did it at least 3 times where he actually picked out a physical gesture that Jack Parr was doing and imitated it right on the spot, and it just makes it really funny and really loose feeling.
It's always fun when you can see them on the edge of laughter when they're about to break.
Yes, and that's how they were almost the whole time. It was great seeing the two of them together. Kathy, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, thank you so much. I'd not seen this show before, and it's just a delight from start to finish. Laura Leibowitz notes that this is the very last show he did live. So, whether he knew it was going to be the last, maybe he didn't, but network TV was changing and moving away from that emphasis on liveness, which had meant quality in the 1950s. So this November 29th, 1959 episode is a bit of a milestone for Jack. I just want to, I hope you clip out that fabulous Lux soap commercial and put it up as a reel, because I love how frustrated the Lux lady is. It's like throws her hands up. It's like,
I mean,
I
would hope they prepped her to death on the fact that you're going to get interrupted all the time. Your goal is to try and get the commercial out, and their goal is to totally mess you up.
I feel like they planned it, but not every little moment, you know, because you can tell there's definitely some genuine reactions from her. But I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny how for her it was, like you say, genuine. It wasn't, because they could have easily got an actress in there who would play up, stop interrupting, you know, and push back really hard on the interruptions and things, and look like she's getting over, kind of like Don does when he kicks the floor and, you know, it looks like he's pretends like he's upset or whatever. But with her, it just felt like, just do it as you normally would, and then you get annoyed. It's okay to get annoyed and things, and she did, and it was just her facial expressions, her tone, her frustration at not being able to get a sentence out, like, and we've all sort of been there, so you can empathize with her too, that it was like so difficult for her. But anyway, that was great. And how about Hope? What are your thoughts on this one?
I loved it because, oh my gosh, I love the history of the Tonight Show, Jack Paar. Just his, I'm kind of in the same place as John, though. I not really watched a lot of Jack Paar. I've seen clips, but I just love getting this look at him. I know his background, though. He was very excited, obviously, and very temperamental.
Yes. Well, and the thing that I guess we should chat about a little bit is that Jack Benny gave Jack Parr kind of his initial break. Back in 47, he brought 46, 47, something in that time frame. He always had a summer replacement show that would take over for him, and it sure seems like he pushed the network and everything to take on the Jack Paar show and created Jack Paar, a radio show during the summer months. And most of his writers went over and worked for it. It was sort of like the Jack Benny / Jack Paar show. It's like Jack Paar sort of slid into it, but it was great because they didn't just simply, it wasn't like Jack Paar is going to just take over for Jack Benny in the summer and almost be his character, have his writers and everything, and do cheap jokes and do whatever they would do. He had his own character who he was. The show had its own format that was different than Jack's format by far, and that was brilliant that they didn't, because they could have easily slid into just go, oh, it's just easiest if we just act sort of like make your show just like Jack's, and they didn't. So, but it's a fun show to listen to. If now this is a big if I get my act together, since we're kind of creating a Jack Paar evening tonight anyway, this is 2025 and we're putting this together, we're gonna have this Jack Paar show that we're just talking about now. That'll be first, and then after that, after our discussion's done on this one, we'll present Hugh Downs appearing with Jack Benny, and that one is from 1961, 62-ish, 62, and it's a great compliment to this. It really is nice because you see the other half of what was going on in the show. And then after that, like I say, if I get my ducks in order, we'll find out. What I will play is the last episode of the Jack Benny show right before the summer is going to hit, where he introduces Jack Paar at the end of it, and they have a nice little bit with Jack Paar and Jack Benny that's quite funny. It's just audio, of course, because it's a radio show at the time. And then I'll present the episode following that. I'll present the episode from the Jack Paar show, where Jack Benny is the guest. and that's a funny one too. It's the sound quality on that one's not quite as great, but I'll do the best I can with it. Anyway, so then that will be our Jack Paar, Jack Benny night of the thing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so that should be fun. Let's go over to Terry and see what Terry thought.
There's an expression in poker: jacks are better to open.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than the two jacks.
Yes,
this is the height of comedy television, and it was. I agree with everybody else. It was really terrific to watch this. It's been a few weeks since I saw it, so I've made a few notes, and I'm hoping they'll make some sense. Okay. There was a reference in this episode. I think it might have been Jack Parr who said something about. I know maybe it was in Jack Benny's monologue. Anyway, something about quiz show. Scandal.
Yeah, he says we're going to tell the truth. We're going to tell the truth, and yes, so
that's right. And that was a reference to those scandals, which hadn't been that long before.
So it must have been they blew that scandals must have been 57, 58 that they had
Charles Van Doren was in December 56, but it took until it was just earlier that month of 59 that they had the congressional hearings about it. So it took that much longer to boil over.
And I think there was also a reference to payola when disc jockeys were given money to put records on the radio. Yeah. Didn't Dennis Day sing "Climb Every Mountain"?
Yes.
Yeah.
From that new Mary Martin musical.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It was. It was
hilarious.
1959. I was just on Broadway that year. And then of course the musical Sound of Music was in 65, I think. We talked about Jack Benny introducing Jack Paar to the country on the radio. I think Jack Paar kind of picked this up from Jack Benny. We'll talk about this in the next Paar related episode, where they gave a platform to new performers, new personalities, and it was a nice thing to do, that they introduced new talent to the audience. And then finally, there was a reference to in the sketch to Charlie Weaver, who was a character created by Cliff Arquette, who was the grandfather of Roseanne Arquette.
Okay.
Roseanne Arquette, and then I think her brother is another big Arquette that's right as well. So it's a whole acting family, and
Cliff Arquette was a regular as Charlie Weaver, is his character Charlie Weaver on the Hollywood Squares. And when he died in 1974, he was replaced by George Gobel. And I can't remember why I made that connection. Was there a George Gobel reference in this episode?
No, but so. George Gobel was big throughout this time, and so Jack does mention George Gobel.
That might have been the case. And then the last note I have here is at the very end. There's a voiceover announcement that Jack makes promoting "What's My Line."
Oh yeah,
and
that was a good
he
one.
did "What's My Line" in February of 1953.
Yeah, he did it a couple of times.
He did it twice.
Oh, that's right. He did it a second time too.
Yeah.
There's the George Gobel reference, is that George Gobel's show was at this point every other week from Benny.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So those are all my kind of scattered notes from this episode, but it was
great.
Very, very, very funny.
Well, and the featuring new talent, I'll ask Hope this one. That continued. That's one of the things that the original, at least we know that Jack Parr's version of The Tonight Show did that, featured new talent, tried to find new people. That was one of the brags he always had. He introduced us to this person, that person. And of course, Jack plays on that in both these episodes we'll be presenting. But that continued into Johnny Carson for sure. Carson was always trying to find new comics and things. And the whole thing with the comic was, if he invited you over to the couch, then you really made it. And if you didn't, well, you were still on the show, which is great. But you really wanted was to get invited over the couch. But did that continue into Conan's reign on the show? And then does it continue into Jimmy Fallon's reign? I don't know.
I would say I don't know enough about Jimmy Fallon, but
Right.
I would say Jimmy's probably more musical, and
Yeah.
so I don't think that really continued. But with Conan, yes, it very much did. With stand-ups, stand-up still will
Mhm.
cite like I've been on Conan.
Right.
They like really it's not the same as like Johnny was known as the Kingmaker. If he
Right.
invited you, especially if he invited you on your first appearance there,
Right.
if there were only like 5 or so comics that he invited over to the couch on their first appearance, and all of them got TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Freddie
so
Prinze was one of those.
yeah,
You could see the
yeah.
clip of his performance.
Well,
Yeah,
Seinfeld
it's
was
a
one of
very
those, I think,
small
too. So
list. It's
yeah.
like Drew Carey, Ellen DeGeneres. I think, yeah, it's a very small list.
Right.
I think Ray Romano might have been one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very small list, but it's people that we know as household names today. So, but with Conan, he's not the kingmaker, but he's definitely was the definitely
Yeah.
important for a lot of stand-ups. Actually, I'll do a little Conan plug. He's not paying me, but um, they just launched Laurie Kilmartin, who was his one of his head writers, just launched a new podcast on Conan's network called I think it's called On Stand Up, or Stand Ups or something like that, On Stand Up, where it's specifically talking about all the stand ups that were on Conan.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
That's neat.
very that trend kind of continued.
Mhm.
And Conan did invite, actually, when he went on tour, um comics like Ron Funches and Taylor Tomlinson, who now has a show on CBS. She went on tour with Conan when she was like 22, 23, something like
Mhm.
that.
And she's great. She is
Hmm.
so funny. Her show, I just always wish it was more of the traditional show because um, we don't have. Do we have any women doing that anymore? I mean, isn't it just all dudes again? As it was, there were some women before, but
Yeah,
and
it's
so
pretty much
now
all
hers
dudes
is
again.
more of a game shows with it kind of rides the edge of those two things, a talk show mixed in a little bit.
It's basically the Nerdist, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of revamped the platform. I do like it. I do like that they've now made her kind of do a monologue.
Yes.
So I'm glad to get that now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and I think, I mean, if you listen to her talk about it, I think she was really uncomfortable. I don't think she thought she was ready to do. Oh, because I mean, the show, any show that's like the Tonight Show in
Hmm.
format really rests on that host. I mean, that is where the linchpin is of the whole thing. Whereas when it's more of a game show sort of thing, yes, it's still on you, but it's more format driven. It's more, there's a lot more of the other comedians that are featured on there and so forth that it takes some of the pressure off. And so I think she's sort of, it's her way of sort of sliding into it a little bit.
A little bit. She also has said she wanted to do something that she could tape more,
Yeah.
and take longer breaks,
Mm.
because she does do stand-up tours. She still does stand-up
Yeah.
tours.
There's at
So.
least one other woman who's doing a show like that, Amber Ruffin, who is one of Seth Meyers' writers, has her own show on
Oh yeah.
Peacock.
Okay. I'll have to check that out because I didn't even know about that.
It's hilarious. She shows up occasionally on Seth Meyers' late night show. She has a segment called Amber Says Wah.
Yeah.
And
is it
Jenny,
somewhat like the Tonight Show format? Does she have guests come on and talk?
Yeah, kind of. I haven't seen it recently. I don't know how it's
Yeah.
evolved, but it's in that same mold.
Right. Well, I assume, I mean, shoot, if I was going to do a Tonight Show-esque show, you keep a little bit of the, maybe the couch and you're sitting on it and talking, but you want a lot of innovative, different bits so it doesn't seem like such an old format. So yeah, I would think for comics it would be really trying to figure out, okay, how far can we push the format, and when does it become a completely different thing? Because we want it to still be a talk show or whatever. But interesting. Just interesting how many talk shows there are out there and everything. Anyway, back to this one. Terry, you got anything else on this one, or did anything stood out to you that you were like interested?
Well, I wanted to circle back to what you said at the beginning of this conversation, which is how terrific the two of them were together. They were very playful with each other, and Jack was famous for cracking up. Right. This was more than I can remember seeing him, maybe ever. Yeah. That he was just so vulnerable to Jack Parr's provocations, and clearly Jack Paar knew this about him and was taking full advantage.
I wonder, because it's interesting that Kathy mentions that this was the very last live show. I wonder if Jack knew, because if Jack Benny knew this was the last live show, I could see him like go, okay, I'm going to let it go a little looser than I usually do, because we'll never be able to do this again. This is the last one. And what a great, appropriate, if you were to say he's going to have a last live guest, who would I feature? At that time in history, I think Jack Paar would be the guest, the last live that I would want to do, because he was known for his live work. And there were so few people known for the live work anymore at that point in time.
I'm glad you said that, because there's a nice bookend with Johnny Carson having been on his first show, right? His very first TV show.
Yeah.
And they were, kind of, the successor. It's odd that it was, flipped.
Yeah.
But that was a nice pairing.
Yeah, agreed. And then Johnny Carson's second time on the show, was that post? Because it was like 62, and I know 62.
I think Carson
he took over the Tonight Show.
They had a Tonight Show set, didn't they? Do the same kind of thing that
I think they did. I think it was. I think that second appearance was post.
Wow. Okay. Laura says that Johnny was on in 55, and then October 22nd, 63.
Yeah, he definitely was doing Tonight Show by then. So yeah, because he took over in 62 on the Tonight Show. Yeah. It's kind of interesting, because this show was both when Jack Paar was synonymous with the Tonight Show, and wouldn't be, in a few years it would be Carson is the Tonight Show, right? And the same thing goes with the song is Mary Martin's, where she gets attributed to The Sound of Music and everything, but within a few years it wouldn't. No one mentions Mary Martin and The Sound of Music anymore. At least whenever they talk about it, it's always about the film. It's always with Julie Andrews. So anyway. So, John, you were going to say something?
Well, I wrote a couple notes. Now, this is one of the episodes that, Buck, you gave us well in advance. Yes. So I wasn't going to leave it to the last minute. I watched it so long ago, I can't remember anything. So maybe you can help me decipher these notes.
Usually it's like the night before. And this time it was like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks before. I don't know. It was a long time before.
Jack Paar, applause pay. Do you guys remember that bit? I'm sure the viewers who just watched it will remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Parr is saying something about applause is the best.
Applause for pay. Yes.
Benny wants to go here. You're not getting any money for this.
Yeah. And here's a note. Originally, I was baffled by, but then I remembered, band taxidermist. So they're talking about the band, and then it turns out
because the moose gets dragged across the stage. So
well, and they talk about the band having. He's like 10 band members or something, and then there's 20 band, but there's 20 people or whatever. I didn't know it was going to be taxidermist. I immediately thought it was all of them with their parole officers were all there with them was going to be the joke. But which I thought would have almost been better than the taxidermist thing, because it kind of hit and it kind of didn't hit. But
Yeah.
We'll go back and reshoot that with your.
Exactly. With your changes. Yeah.
Jack's
really
always
hit
checking
for
with
me
me
either.
first.
Well, one of the things I thought was really funny was the Don Wilson being pumped up bit, and the fact that Jack is playing so much with it, and at a certain point he's like, "Now we're overdoing it." And that sort of ad-libbing thing, which he doesn't normally do, but for
very
a
playful.
live show,
He was very playful this episode. I think that really definitely shows Jack Parr's personality influence on him. Especially with like Kathy said, the Lux lady. Oh my goodness. She was she was over it by the end.
How do you do that? How do you're like, oh, we're gonna have you do a serious commercial next to Jack Benny and Jack Parr. It's like
but that's the unyielding sponsor. The sponsors were still very important. And so if Lux is paying the money, this is how you're going to do it on every soap opera, on every other show.
And I wonder how Lux took that. Did they like it? Did they go, oh, that was extra funny? And we had, you have 2 minutes talking about their product instead of 30 seconds, which it would have been if you just let the lady do her thing.
I wonder how much longer they stayed. So
this is also part of Jack Benny's stock in trade. You'll remember whenever on the radio, whenever he would introduce Dennis, he would say, "Hi, Dennis," and Dennis would start to talk, and he'd say, "How are you, kid?" He'd interrupt him. That was part of Jack Benny's persona.
Right. Apparently, Lux bailed at the end of this season in May 16th. They went for State Farm Insurance instead.
I can see why. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, Jack, I've really noticed over time from the very first, from the very first episode of the Jack Benny radio show, where it's for who was he for then?
Canada Dry.
So from that time until this time, the more serious the commercial, the more he messes with it. If it's done as a comedy thing, he'll step away and let his people do what they're going to do, and not usually interrupted in any way or anything, because he wants that bit to work. But when there's no bit and it's strictly a commercial, he will destroy it more than anything else. So often he talks over the commercial while the person's talking, and you can't even tell really what's going on. And then he stops, and then they start, just very much like she does, but where he finally let her get her word in. But sometimes he won't even let the person get the word in. He'll just double it up over the whole thing and destroy the whole commercial. And as the advertiser at that point, I would be upset too. I'm like, I'm paying for this.
Well, hence no more live shows, when you could make a perfectly produced film commercial to go elsewhere that have been cut out of the versions that we get to watch today.
Right.
So we don't see the full effect of boring, serious commercial on film in the middle. Those have been largely taken back out of the versions we get to see on repeat TV.
Correct.
So,
well, and that's why these live shows, and it's really sad this is the last one. We have so enjoyed doing these live presentations on these shows. But the live shows are so exciting, so fun to watch, from the energy that Jack has and everything, but also to see so often they have the original commercials in all the original spots. They have the comedy commercials still in there. They have the real commercials still in there so often that we really get a chance to see what was going on. And you'll see strange people show up. Giselle McKenzie doing the serious smoking ad and talking about how she loves her smokes and things. It's just, of course, interesting to see those sorts of things. But it's great.
I was thinking about going back to what you're talking about, him interrupting commercials. I wonder how much that had to do with the live audience and like not losing the live audience, because there's a lot of radio shows where if you listen carefully in the background during the commercial, he's not on mic, but he's still joking and talking with the audience while Don is doing the commercial. So maybe it has to do with like not losing the live audience and therefore not getting the laughs that you need.
Maybe so. I don't know.
For what it's worth, can I say that it intrigues me, given how much NBC and CBS hated each other, as rival networks, that both Jack Paar and Johnny Carson get promoted on one of the CBS #1 shows, and they're on the rival network. And I wonder if that's Jack's influence, because we know, I mean, talk about power of sponsors, that Jack Benny could not be on the I Love Lucy show because Philip Morris had said no, he's with a rival cigarette sponsor. So, as I said, having seen stories about how much the networks wanted to get one up on each other all the time, I was kind of intrigued to these shows go to the extent of having the fake set, that's really sort of promoting a rival network's program. So
that's true. And I wonder, Jack carries these things when you know Jack and you start listening to his interviews and start reading the books and everything, you realize these things stick with Jack, and he doesn't just kind of let them roll off his back. So that whole thing with the Lucy show and the issues with that and not being able to be on the Lucy and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if Jack had it written into the contracts that I will feature anybody from anywhere I want, and I don't care what anybody says or doesn't say, because it sure seemed like he could get anybody from any TV show that was popular at the time. If he got him on the show, he got him on the show, and then movies and actors and singers and whatever. I just don't think he wanted to play the game of, oh, I am the CBS boy who's going to have everybody on CBS on his show and push those shows. Because the problem with that is when you do that, you start featuring even the shows that are unpopular, that are going to go away, that are going to have 13 episodes and disappear. You have that person on and act like they're brilliant and their show's brilliant. Everybody should tune in. And of course, then you look like an idiot because the show died on you. I mean, if he's featuring just the best of the best, certainly, I mean, in our next show we're going to talk about, he's going to have Rock Hudson on there. That's a huge get at the time. The guy who's in tons of movies and everything. And so I mean,
William Paley might also have been aware of the fact that he had poached Jack Benny from NBC, and he recognized that Jack Benny didn't have to stay with CBS. He could have gone somewhere else after that. Could have gone back to NBC.
Which
and
he would do,
which he does.
Well, right. And there was
when CBS threw him out.
There was a convention for years that when a guest was on a show from a rival network, they wouldn't say which network, but on another network.
On a rival network.
Right. Yes. Yes. Today, that's kind of gone out the window. They'll not only say what network, but what time, or
Yes.
They're desperate for you to watch. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just want anybody watching any kind of network show at all.
And they didn't have to say that Jack Parr or Johnny Carson was on NBC. Everybody knew by that time. It wasn't a secret.
But I mean, now they just want anybody to watch any network show.
Kathy, as far as sorry, Hope.
No, I was just gonna say I noticed that the old timers still say on another network. I think they just want to say it because they don't have to say it. Because like sometimes Colbert will throw that out. I feel like I've heard him say that, and I'm just like,
I think you're right.
Yeah, they just want to say it at this point because it makes them feel cool.
Well, also, I think giving into some of us have a higher age bracket. I think you would also go, now, which station or which streaming service is this thing even on? I don't know. It's on one of the streamers out there somewhere.
I know it's not one of mine.
Kathy, you probably know the story about the meeting between the president of NBC News and the head of the advertising agency that represented Camel cigarettes. Camel sponsored, it was called the Camel Cavalcade of News in the 1950s, I think, late 40s, early 50s. And it was a big deal when they got that account on NBC. But there was a meeting, and the representative of the ad agency explained to the president of NBC News what the rules were, about what they could and couldn't do. And for example, a camel was a cigarette. It was not this ungainly animal that wandered through the desert. Well, that was not a big problem for them. There weren't a lot of stories about camels on the news. Then they said, oh, we don't want to hear any stories or see any stories on the news about the connection between cigarettes and cancer. Well, again, and at that time, it wasn't a popular topic of news reporting. But the third rule that was a problem for them was they were told that people smoked cigarettes, not pipes and not cigars. Well, the problem with this was that one of the most famous faces on earth belonged to Winston Churchill, who was always seen with a cigar right in the middle of his mouth. And so they agreed to make an exception for Winston Churchill. And then as the president of the news division was heading to the door, he stopped, he turned around and he said, what about Groucho Marx? And they said, no.
That would have been my question, is like Groucho Marx. That's immediately what I was thinking. I was like, what about Groucho?
But the power they had over news content.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, insane.
The reason why there weren't any stories about it, Terry, is they weren't allowing any stories.
Well, there you go. I had a couple graduate students recently. I mean, I'm really curious about when did the power of the individual sponsor decline? And we usually say in freshman history surveys that it was the quiz show scandal that Jack mentions in this very episode, as he's going to tell the truth about things. But you can see other so that would be like 59. But you see still powerful sponsors into some parts of the early to mid 60s. So it turns out there's not one deadline after which sponsors, just become, I'm going to have 60 seconds, 30-second ads here and there. But we're busily doing research, trying to find those tipping points. So
yeah. Well, and I don't know, I'm thankful for all the control that they tried to exert in things, because I think without all that, had they just let people produce what they were going to produce, I don't think we'd have Twilight Zone with Rod Serling. I think that's why we have Twilight Zone, is he got sick of it and was just like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm going to put this fantasy realm twist on everything, and they won't know what I'm talking about, and they won't know what to tell me to get rid of. And it worked brilliantly for him, so I'm thankful for that. But
that's a very good point.
Anyway, what a terrific show. Oh, before we go, got to mention Dennis in this. He does such a fine job. I'd love to see him when he takes on a character like this, and he really grabs onto that character and just imbues it. And it's Weaver. What's the first name?
Charlie Weaver.
Charlie Weaver. That's right. And it's so strange that Charlie Weaver's a character by this actor playing Charlie Weaver, of course, and Cliff Arquette.
Cliff Arquette.
Yeah.
Right.
And that later, so seldom do you see somebody take a character to another platform. I mean, sometimes it would be like a spin-off show that a character can go into. That makes sense. But to go like we're saying, into the Hollywood Squares with a character that was mostly known probably from the 1950s. I don't know what he was doing from the after.
Wikipedia said not too much. I mean, he was publishing books. He never appeared in person again as Cliff Arquette. Wikipedia says that he remained then Charlie Weaver everywhere in the public. My grandmother
had stand up as Charlie Weaver or something, but I don't even know stand up.
I don't know. My grandmother had a little toy when I was young, and it was one of these. It was a mechanical Charlie Weaver, plastic, and you wound it up, and he just sort of poured liquor into a glass.
Okay. Well, you have to be pretty big to get something like that made about your image on it. So
Buck, you provoked me to look it up. I had to know. So Charlie Weaver was the grandfather of Rosanna Arquette, Patricia Arquette, David Arquette, Alexis Arquette, and I don't know who Richmond Arquette was, but apparently they're all in show business somehow.
Yeah.
Or famous enough to have their own Wikipedia pages.
There you go. Wow. Interesting. So anything else anyone wants to cover on this episode we didn't mention?
The only thing I have on my notes is that they mentioned Rochester. Rochester is not in the episode, I don't think.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
Go ahead.
and it is a great point. That thank you for reminding me, because Jack involves it in his monologue when he says, "I'm going to tell the truth about everything," and so he says, "Foolish people, think that Rochester works for me at my house." On the other hand, he says Rochester has a fine home and fancy sports cars and all this, and then he says the line, "And I've worked for him."
Yeah.
Yes.
And given that this is still the middle of the civil rights movement, when things are, when progress is not being made,
right?
It's a subtle, it's a nice subtle support for racial equality.
Yes, and that's where we get the whole Don thing, where he's not really fat like they say he is, and he's full of. They pump him up full of air. And Dennis is really a smart person and all of that. It's kind of funny how they intertwined reality. They give us a little push on reality, but then had fun with it too. So that, I like that bit. I thought it was good. It was a good beginning.
Buck, we're putting it in the dictionary. You've coined a new term.
What did I coin?
Intertweaved. I like
it. So often the Jack Benny Show intertweaves multiple things.
I'm gonna start using that.
That's right.
That'll make it more real,
You'll
real.
Go viral.
Yes. Now, and so we'll let you folks go, and we'll go intertweave within our next presentation. Thank you, everybody.
Good. Nothing but good things.
All right. Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I am joined with our friend Terry Phillips and John Henderson and Kathy Fuller-Seeley and Vincent Longo. We are here to talk about Jack Benny. And this is the Jack Benny Show with Jack Paar. It recently became available. I'd never seen it before. It's not in any of the packages I've ever seen. So I was so excited. Kathy kind of mentioned we might want to do it. And it was just a clip. It was just a clip of Parr and Jack. Well, they're both Jacks, the two Jacks. And they make fun of that in this episode. But I thought, okay, if that clip exists, maybe if I look around on YouTube, I can find and I found the whole thing. So it's great. So we'll share that with you. I really loved this episode. I love the looseness to it. It had a different feel than almost any Jack Benny show I can think of. More of a radio feel for kind of like when Jack had a radio show, and he'd almost always say when they were loose like this, see what happens when we don't have a rehearsal or something. It just feels, and that's how, especially when the two Jacks get together, it just feels like they're just playing off of each other and not taking it seriously, and the script kind of goes out the window a little bit and so forth. And I love that feel. Also, I felt like Dennis was doing some ad-libbing, which, Jack doesn't usually encourage that much, but Jack was dying at some of the stuff Dennis was saying, and I was going, okay, Jack would not be reacting like this if that was in the script. And Dennis is really good at coming up with follow-up pieces. A lot of Dennis's piece, which I think is one of the more interesting pieces on this episode, is reminiscent of he was on a Friar's Roast with Phil Harris and he were both roasting Jack, and Phil went first and had these great lines. I think it was Phil that went first, and Dennis played off of everything that he had said, and it was brilliant, and I just loved it. And I'd always thought it was off the cuff, but a lot of folks said, oh, those roasts are always totally plotted out, totally scripted out. It was, and which is fine either way, but it was great stuff. If you ever listen to that roast, it's fantastic. They also play on the fact that Jack Paar was originally, when Jack Paar got his first break on radio, it was on Jack's Benny's show was going out for the summer, and he allowed Jack Paar to be his summer replacement. A really interesting radio experience. 1947. It sounds like, if you were listening to it, that is this from 1962 or something? I mean, it just sounds out of time and much more modern than it was in 47. And a lot of the stuff he took to the Tonight Show. Jack appeared on it once. So what I'm going to do for you folks that are listening to this, an audio version, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll just get the Jack Benny episode with Jack Parr. But if you're listening on one of our podcasts, then I'm going to link this up and it'll immediately it'll go from the Jack Benny show featuring Jack Parr to the Jack Parr show featuring Jack Benny. And I think those would be cool to play back and back. Anyway, having said all that, let's go over to John Henderson. John, what did you think about this episode, and had you ever seen it before?
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I do think that the Dennis Day whole segment was a highlight of the episode. It was so fun and high energy and funny jokes. And I think that maybe part of it is that it must have been live because it seemed like they were playing off the audience and everything. Yeah, so I thought that was great. I even thought the commercial was very, very funny with the ad-libbing, and she's clearly like, oh.
Well, it would be hard. I mean, you're just doing a commercial, and these guys are interrupting you all the time with this funny stuff, and it's like, where do I go on? Do I wait? What do I do? And you can totally see that she does she's really professional. She pulls it off and does what she needs to do, keeps on pulling it back. But man, it was hard for her to keep going. It was very much reminiscent of what he would do with Dennis, of the constant interruptions and things, but doing it to somebody who wasn't used to it and didn't, it was interesting. What a great
it almost seemed like some of those interruptions were half scripted and half ad-libbed, but I thought it really worked. I thought it was great. I didn't even know that the Jack Benny was ever sponsored by Lux soap. I'd heard of even State Farm. I knew he was sponsored by them, but Lux soap I'd never seen before.
This is 59, so I think it's 59. He was on in 59.
So it's one season.
One
season by Lux. So.
And by this time they were starting to have a series of other sponsors, not our usual ones we're used to in the earlier seasons. It was a dynamic episode. I loved also the play on I'm going to tell the truth because of the hearings and things, which was really strange to me because I was thinking this is something that you would have said in 51, 52, 53, but I'm trying to think of what in 59 are they talking about, because I don't remember there being hearings in 59 and so forth, but I don't know. Maybe Terry will fill
the quiz show.
That's exactly right.
Show hearings. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. There we go. Well, and Terry, why don't you do it and take us wherever you want to take us with this?
Well, let's see. Start with Dennis Day. The song that he performed was from a brand new Broadway show that had just premiered 2 weeks before, called The Sound of Music. And he mentioned Mary Martin, the co-star who played the role that Christopher Plummer had in the movie, was played by Theodore Bikel. And I had to look this up. I'd forgotten. I remember seeing him in a number of things, including one of my favorite episodes of Columbo that is about a group of Mensa members, genius.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that Theodore Bikel was a member of Mensa. He was a very, very smart guy, but he wasn't on this show. John, the Lux girl was Joyce Davidson. And I also thought that was very funny. She had been married to David Susskind, who was another television personality back in the 60s, I guess. And she just died. She passed away last year of a COVID-related disease. The other thing I liked about Dennis Day in this episode was that he plays a character who was ubiquitous on television and a mainstay on Jack Parr's show called Charlie Weaver. And that character was created by the actor Cliff Arquette, who, among other things, was the grandfather of Roseanne and Patricia Arquette. And Charlie Weaver also did this running bit called Letters from Mama. It was very funny. I remember watching him back in the day. But we were talking in our previous conversation about impressionists. And of course, Dennis Day was a fantastic impressionist. And I thought they pulled off that whole sketch rather well. Of course, he was in full regalia, so he really looked like Charlie Weaver, and Jack supposedly didn't know that it wasn't Charlie Weaver.
This episode was really a true tour de force for for Dennis Day. I mean, he
Dennis
really
Day, it certainly was.
Yeah.
The other thing that watching this episode drove me to do was to watch more Jack Paar shows and interviews with Jack Paar. I saw his conversation with Dick Cavett, which was also terrific. He did a special in the late 50s, also around this same time. But when Jack Benny died, the following day, NBC News produced a special panel discussion. It was anchored by Tom Snyder and Edwin Newman. And the panelists included Jack Paar, Isaac Stern, Sheldon Leonard, Dennis Day, Mel Blanc, and Johnny Green. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And I can provide a link, which I don't know if you want to include in any of this, but sure. It is amazing to me how much we were talking before about why Jack Benny was so admired, and the mainstay throughout this, which is very evident in this episode, was how much people loved Jack Benny, not just as a performer, but personally. Mm-hmm. That to a man in that panel discussion, no one had anything bad to say about Jack Benny. No one had ever heard anyone or heard about anyone say anything bad about Jack Benny. And similarly, Jack Benny never said anything bad about anybody else. So he was the iconic, beloved person in show business. The last thing I want to talk about is Jack Paar himself, who was after this was well known for being before this also was well known for being a very emotional guy. Mm-hmm. And in the interview with Dick Cavett, he explains that it was just his voice. It's not that he cried all the time. He just had this tremor in his voice. But I think Daryl, to go back to what you were saying at the beginning, the reason this was so loose, and it was true when Johnny Carson was a guest on the Benny Show too, is because Parr and Carson loved Jack Benny. They both attributed their careers to him. He made them who they were, and Jack Benny knew that. I remember Jack Benny saying to Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show, "You know, Johnny Carson has always said I'm his idol, and now Johnny Carson is my idol. And believe me, it's much better the other way."
I love that. I love that bit. That's fantastic. Kathy, what did you have? Anything on this one?
Well, again, I'm so glad we got to watch and talk about this episode. Laura Leff, in her gigantic book about, Jack's television show, says this is the very last live broadcast he did.
Oh, wow.
So after this, they were all recorded. So I was interested. Lux had a long history of associating itself with Hollywood stardom. They had started back in the 1920s saying all the actresses of Hollywood used Lux soap. And I was curious to see it's still being produced, and it's the #1 brand in India and Brazil and like South Africa. So they have gone global. I don't even think you can buy Lux in American stores anymore, but it's a global brand that was known for a long time for associating itself with glamour and stardom. So the Benny Show is a kind of interesting choice for what they were going to associate themselves with.
You would assume they go to like Playhouse 90 or something like that, because since they were always Lux Radio.
Benny Show is still very expensive. So there you go. But that's about that. One of my PhD students is currently writing a history of the early Tonight Show. And so he's just returned from a trip to Madison where he found material about Jack Paar in the NBC and archive and other television archives there. And I forwarded this show to him, and he loved the chance of seeing the mock-up of Jack Parr's TV set and the laughing about having 78 sponsors.
Yeah,
it was great.
That was great.
I hadn't thought about Charlie Weaver in so many years. My grandmother down in her basement had a little mechanical toy that was a Charlie Weaver. And if you put the batteries in him and wound it up, he would just pour drinks. He was standing behind a bar. And I think maybe he spent some years on the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I
Next
think he was the center square for a while.
Yeah, he was a mainstay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, but I just as you all say, I loved the marvelous energy of this show. This is when, for all that, by the time we've got him with Rich Little in '74, he's really slowed down. It was great to remember that he could also be really quick.
Yes.
On things.
Well, and I'll just throw one more thing out there that I thought of as Terry was talking with the Dennis Day section. When they said that he was going to sing "Climb Every Mountain," when I watch these shows, sometimes I get excited and I'm like, "Oh, Climb Every Mountain! I love that song!" And Dennis is going to sing it. This will be great. And then I forgot. Oh yeah, in the TV years, Dennis gets this vibrato thing going, and it's just like overdone. Climb every mountain. And it's like, I love the old Dennis from 1940s to the early 50s, where he's got more of a natural singing voice that he uses, and it's a beautiful voice in many songs. And I think this done in his original singing voice, if we just stopped the crazy vibrato thing, would have been much better.
I like to mention that I thought maybe he was singing on the moon, on that odd landscape behind.
Oh, they all, this show, one of the most interesting things about all of Benny's shows is to watch where Dennis is. I don't know how they put the numbers together or what they did, but I mean, sometimes he's like up in the rafters and sometimes he's in all shadows, and you never know what you're going to get. And there'll be like all kinds of dramatic, most of them look really dramatic, this scene. And yet he's singing these goofy songs and things, and you're like, what the heck? There's no matchup here. But anyway, Vincent, what did you think?
Yeah, so this episode reminded me of something that, I think the beauty of watching more Jack Benny is that it only gets funnier.
Yes.
He's constantly building on his own jokes, refreshing them. And this episode is that in every way. I mean, I think the beginning bit where, he's playing off the quiz show investigation, where the quiz shows were, showed to be rigged and things like that. And he's saying, I'm going to be truthful about so many things. And there's some, great callbacks to his jokes about his age, of Rochester being more famous and rich than he is. There's jokes about his sponsors and his history with sponsors. I mean, it's just really great stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of the better monologues that he's had. I loved it.
Yeah.
It seemed fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
It was refreshing. It was like new. Yeah, I loved it.
There was one reference that I didn't get, where he talks about Edward R. Murrow, and I have a friend actually at Princeton who's writing a book on Edward R. Murrow right now. And he said that for that to make sense, when they're showing a baby and he says, "Oh, look, I wasn't ready for you, Mr. Murrow," he's referring to Person to Person, which is a show that Murrow hosted. Edward R. Murrow's remembered mostly for his political news coverage, particularly Vietnam Now. But at the time, my friend said that he was far more remembered as like a celebrity, not investigator, interviewer. And so they would come, this show is like they'd go into celebrities' houses and talk to them. So that was the joke with the baby. But the one that I did not understand, and I'm hoping you guys can explain it a little bit, is the bit where Jack and Jack are talking about Jack's band, and particularly them being taxidermied and the moose being the leader, and they shoot the moose. Is there something there?
I do think that was definitely the joke that fell flat. I don't know if it's because he flubbed the line or what. The only thing we know about his band is that they're crazy partiers, drinkers, that sort of thing. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Okay. No, all I can think of is when they say someone's been drinking so much that they're really stiff or whatever, is the only thing I could make sense of it. It didn't work. It didn't play. Now I will say that the part with the moose, and when they drag the moose across the stage, that kind of worked. That was funny. Yeah, I like that bit. And then when he says he recognizes the moose as being Bagby. And says something about it's the best you ever looked, Bagby. I can't remember. He said something about Bagby being dragged off, and I thought that was funny. But yeah,
I was hoping that the moose would have a hat rack, That's a deep Benny dive for you. But,
yeah, that's
but
true.
also, but also a reference to Charlie Bagby was that, wasn't Bagby one of the characters on the Phil Harris show? I mean, forever in the band,
well, Bagby, yeah, was a
on
member
the
of the
radio.
band, and of
But
course,
then, you know, so many of the, one thing that always amazes me about Jack Benny is what he assumes his listeners or viewers remember. And that he can call back to a joke that is 20 years old, and it rewards those who, because a lot of this stuff, it wasn't on reruns, and it was just from years and years of listening and hearing about these characters that you would remember. It would be like a reference to Carmichael the polar bear. You know, it's like, who hadn't been on the radio show since 1940, and that people would laugh and remember.
Well, and the Bagby one, I mean, that he would mention Bagby maybe like twice a season since going back to the 40s or 30, I don't know, going back forever. And to think that people are going to keep on remembering Bagby because I mention him once or twice a year is pretty dicey. I mean, it's not like, it'd be a little different if Bagby was like a main character for 5 years and then he started mentioning him every once in a while. But Bagby was never a main character. He was always mentioned once or twice a year, and that was it. And so that,
right. But this is about nearly the same year as Jack did that Shower of Stars, where he brought back people who'd been with him on the radio 28 years before, and expected us to, you know, either rewarded those of us who knew who Paul Douglas was from 1932 in a few weeks, or that it shows how much it meant to Jack.
Right.
I guess, you know, that we're seeing a bit of his deeply sort of sentimental personality about how much he cared for the characters and performers on his show over the years. So,
yeah. Oh, I want to mention about something Vincent mentioned about the babies. I was so glad they included that clip of doing the babies. I didn't think that was a great, funny thing or anything, but it tied in so well to what late night shows would do then and continue to do. I mean, that holding up a picture and making a funny thing about something that's in the news, in this case it was babies, but it could have been in the news. Certainly Leno forever with his showing classified ads and things that were funny. That has been a mainstay of Tonight Show / other late shows ever since television began. And so that it was just neat to have that as trying to simulate the show, to actually have something that is truly like a late night show would have. Also that the desk they had where both folks were sitting behind one big desk. I think they actually did that. I don't know if it was in the Tonight Show, but some of those shows did have these giant desks that two people would sit behind. You both have a microphone in front of them, which no one does now. But anyway, but anybody have anything about did the Tonight Show do that for a while?
Jack Parr did have one desk, and both of he and his guest would sit behind it. Right. From time to time he would change and just be there'd be no desk and it would just be two chairs.
Right.
But yeah, the desk has become kind of iconic for talk shows, and a lot of hosts talk about how that affects their interviews. The desk and the couch is almost shorthand for it's a talk show.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah. Well, with that, I think we'll let people enjoy the show.
From Television City in Hollywood, the Jack Benny Program, brought to you by Lipton Tea.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I wanted to start right off by telling you a very funny joke that I heard. But before I do, I would like to introduce a very dear friend of mine who is sitting in the audience. He's one of motion pictures box office he's the greatest attractions. And currently, he's appearing in a picture called Lover Come Back. Mr. Rock Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. That was awfully nice of you to come in, Rock. This joke that I wanted to tell you about. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this joke. Rock, take another bow. Take another bow. Just take a bow. Just take a bow. Thank you very much. This joke. Oh, Rock, you better come up here then. Come on. You might as well come up here then. See, Rock, I want to apologize for bringing you up from the audience without any makeup on or anything. I mean, with these lights and the cameras and everything, you must look awful.
Well, that's all right, Jack. I don't mind.
You know?
Do you have any makeup on?
What'd you say?
I said, are you wearing any makeup?
Me? Am I? Rock, if the makeup that I've got on my face was on my shoulders, I'd look like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Or rather were on my shoulders. I mean, grammatical error. But you know, I can't get over everybody hollering, we want rock, we want rock.
Well, Jack, didn't people ever yell, we want Benny?
Well, just once. It was after one of my violin concerts. I believe there were some rocks involved in that, too. But anyway, I want to tell you it's so nice of you to come up here, really, and come to... I'm flattered that you came in to see our show.
Thanks.
I really am. I mean that.
Will you please step back? I can't see him.
I don't know. That's the silliest thing that's about the silliest thing I've ever seen, I think.
Jack, I'm sorry if I caused all this commotion.
Well, Rock, it's not your fault. After all, you're a big movie star. Everybody's happy to see you. Look at the picture you've made. Magnificent Obsession, Giant, Farewell to Arms, Pillow Talk, Come September. And then this latest picture, Lover Come Back.
Thank you for mentioning them.
Yeah, well, gee, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, Rock, that your pictures have made almost as much money as mine.
Well, I don't pay any attention to those things, Jack, but yesterday my agent happened to mention that the combined gross of my pictures amounted to about $250 million.
How much did you say they...
250 million.
I want rock. How many pictures have you made altogether?
Well, including my latest one with Doris Day, Lover Come Back, I've made about 42.
42 pictures? Mm-hmm. How come I've never seen any of them?
Maybe it's because they haven't been shown on television yet.
That could be. Really, that could be.
Jack, it's awfully nice of you to ask me to come up on stage, and I really must apologize for all the commotion.
No, listen, you don't... Oh, wait a minute. Before you leave, I want to prove something, you know. Now, I'll admit you're good-looking. I'll give you that. But, I mean, all of these women hollering, we want rock, we want... You know, I'm going to prove to you that sex appeal is merely a state of mind.
A state of mind?
That's right. Because a kiss is a kiss. I don't care whether it's yours or mine. It's all the same. I'm going to prove it to you. Now, wait. I'd like to get some young lady up from the audience up here. Just you, you're the one that's been screaming so much. Come up here. Just a second. No. Come up. Come up here. Just a second. That's right. Look at. I want to prove something. Now, I want you to close your eyes. Here, I'll blindfold you first. Here. Now, don't look. Don't peek. And we're each going to kiss you, and I want to see if you can tell the difference, whether it's me or Rock Hudson. Now, don't peek. Now, don't peek, and now remember, now, we're gonna...
You were right, Jack. It is only a state of mind.
Must be a state of mind, because I'm a wreck. But ladies and gentlemen, getting back to this... Are we over yet? Getting back to this joke, I want... What? Oh, for heaven's sake.
Well, Jack, when the cameras were on the audience here just a few minutes ago, I noticed a very good friend of mine sitting out in the audience, and if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce him.
Don, we can't keep introducing people from the audience. We got a show to do.
Look, Jack, he's not just a friend of mine, he's a colleague, a really great announcer.
I know.
Hugh Downs, will you take a bow, please? Hugh, come up on stage, will you please? Come on stage, well, just a minute. Hugh, will you come up on stage, please? Come on, Hugh. Oh, Jack, he's such a wonderful fellow. I want everyone to see. Oh, it's certainly good to see you, Hugh. My golly. You know Hugh Downs, don't you, Jack?
Yes, I met him when I was on the Jack Parr show. Of course. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, I watch all your shows. Enjoy every one of them. Never miss them.
Well, thank you.
And I want you to know, Jack, as long as I came up on the stage, that being an announcer, I really appreciate Don's work.
Oh, thank you.
I do, really. It's a thrill. I get goose pimples every time he says, brisk Lipton tea is the great change of pace. It satisfies like coffee, but refreshes you better.
Well, he's been doing it for... Would you say that again, Hugh?
Sure. Brisk Lipton tea is the great change of pace. It satisfies like coffee, but refreshes you better.
Don. When he says it, it's a thrill, isn't it?
Well, I think he does it adequately.
Well, wait a minute. Don's way isn't bad. In fact, I think he was very good in that opening announcement. You remember when he said, win a vacation for two to Hawaii in the change of pace vacation contest.
Don, the enunciation, the tonal quality.
Look, Hugh, I just wanted you to come up and take a bow. That's all. Thanks. Thanks very much, Hugh. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. Not tonal quality. Listen to this. Buy Lipton tea. It's better tea in the flow-through tea bag. Enter the Lipton Change of Pace Vacation Contest. Look for details in Lipton's store display. You may win a glamorous vacation for two in Hawaii.
And without a rehearsal.
Hugh, what are you trying to do? This is my bread and butter. This is my job.
Look, Don, this is a competitive business. Either you've got it or you haven't.
That's right. He's right.
Well, that's a fine way to treat a friend. I bring you up here on stage just to take a bow, and now you try to take my job.
But, pal...
Look, don't pal me.
Stop!
I'm leaving.
Wait a minute, Don.
You let him go. I'm so sick of fat announcers. Anyway, look at Don. What? Hugh, why don't you, he's gone anyway, why don't you be my announcer today? Let you and I do a show. Oh, you work on my show today.
Jack, I don't know how to do your show. I'm used to the Jack Parr show where we sit around and ad-lib.
Well, we can do it. I'll do a Jack Parr show if you want to.
On the spur of the
You
moment?
won't know the difference. I'll do it right after Dennis Day's song. Oh, Dennis, where are you?
Here I am, Mr. Benny.
Dennis, what are you doing in the audience?
I figured on this show it was the only way to get introduced.
Never mind that. Come up here on the stage and sing your song.
Not till they holler, we want Dennis! We want Dennis!
Nobody's gonna holler. Now come up here and sing.
I'll sing it from down here.
Oh, no, you won't. In fact, you're not gonna sing at all. We're gonna do the Jack Paar show right now.
The Jack Benny Parr Show with his guests Herb Kupcinich, Ed Sullivan, Mickey Rooney, Dorothy Kilgallen, and a host of Jack's other friends. And yours truly, Hugh Downs. And now, here's Jack.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we have a real good show for you tonight. Hugh, what you told me to remind them of something.
Yes. Two new sponsors are joining the show tonight, Jack.
Oh, two new sponsors. Isn't that great? Two new sponsors. How many sponsors have we got now?
748.
That's great, isn't it? Isn't that great? 5 more will be all filled. Now, what's the first thing?
Oh, first, it's time to play the mystery relative game, Jack. So if you'll take your place at the desk.
Mystery relative game. Now, this is the game where they bring out a relative of a big star, and I have to guess who it is. You know, I'm very good at this too. Yeah. All right, would you please bring out the mystery guest, please?
This is the daughter of a famous television star.
The daughter of a famous television star? I'll close my eyes and you let them know. Let them know who it is. All right?
Okay, get over your eyes.
Okay. See, this is a tough one. This is tough. This one here. Now, let's see. I want a television star. Was she ever in pictures?
Yes.
Yes, she was, huh? Mm-hmm. Television star, and she was.
Her show's on Sunday night.
It is on Sunday. Oh, on Sunday night.
That's right.
Thank goodness, Sunday night. That's right. Let's see, Sunday. I think I've got it. Let's see. Sunday night. I think I've got the relative, but I don't know whether it's Huntley or Brinkley.
Jack, you're on the wrong track. It's her mother.
Oh, it's her mother. Oh. Well, let's see. You said she's been in pictures.
Yes.
She's been in pictures. Does she, I must get it. Does she sing? She doesn't sing. I see. And she's in television, though, huh? She's in television. But she doesn't sing. I see. Well, give me a hint. Give me a hint. Tallulah Bankhead.
No, Jack, I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you, this is the daughter of Lassie.
The daughter of oh, for heaven's sake. Yes, the daughter of Lassie, and I never... Gee, she doesn't look like her. You hate this show, don't you? Well, Lassie, I want to tell you something. When it comes to acting, nobody can carry a stick back like your mother. And thank you very much for coming over here. Thank you. I must get Miriam a fur coat like that. Now, let's see. What's next? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have to sell something. I have to sell something now. Now, this is an Otis elevator shoe. You see? This is, and when you press the button, it raises you to whatever height you want. You see? Now, Hugh, this is good. Tell him about it.
Very good.
Tell him about
I don't know
it.
if you know, Jack, but the comfort of leather is largely dependent on the success of the tanning process, and this is quite a complicated procedure. Years ago, they had to depend largely on vegetable material that contained tannin or tannic acid. But modern technology has developed a whole range of chemical agents that help in the processing of leather. Things like elegant tannins, Kemmler tannins, and global tannins.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next I would like to present now as someone who has been with me for ever since I've had my show, you see, and he is my very good friend and my orchestra conductor, Jose Mellis. Jose will play Kumana. That was very good. Very good, Jose. Jose, why were you late for rehearsal today?
I will tell you why I was late for rehearsal. I went down to my car in the garage, and I found out the motor she had fell out. And so I had to push the car all the way to the studio, 17 miles.
Well, Jose, wasn't that silly, kind of pushing the car with no motor all the way to the studio?
Without my car here, how would I get home?
You know, Hugh, Jose drives me crazy. You know, he really does. He upsets me. So what makes me, you know how sometimes I'm so emotional. What makes me so... What makes me so emotional? Huh?
Well, Jack, a question like that ordinarily requires more than a capsule answer, probing of the subconscious and that sort of thing. But I think it's safe to say that this pattern of persistent emotionalism and sensitivity harks back to some traumatic childhood experience that currently manifests itself in an inability to react to ordinary outside stimuli objectively, so that the predictable response is one of self-identification and subjectivity.
What does that mean?
You're sick.
2 words. He makes such a big thing out of it. Now, let's see. What's next?
We have a guest.
A guest. Oh yes, a guest. We have a guest. This guest. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I pride myself on the fact that many people were discovered on this show, like Betty Johnson, Genevieve, Alexander King, Gregory Peck, Jack Lemmon, penicillin, streptomycin, and polio vaccine.
Jack, I don't want to be difficult, but everybody knows that Dr. Salk discovered the polio vaccine.
No, he discovered the one that works.
Thinks he knows everything, you know. Well, anyway, there's a young fellow. This will be first time on this show, and he's an amateur. But I think he's really going places, and I hope you'll enjoy him, and he'll get his start here. And he's a harmonica player, a young fellow. Would you come in, sir? Would you come in, please? Just come in. Come right over here. Come. Be nervous. You know, you never have to be nervous on this show, does he, Hugh? No, you never have to be nervous. You never have to be nervous on this show. Now, tell me, what,
Don't be frightened.
No, don't be, what, I tell you, what is your name?
Hudson.
Hudson, I see. I mean, what is your first name?
Irving.
Irving Hudson, I see. Well, now, I told him you were a harmonica player, so why don't you go now and play something for him, will you? Go ahead, play something. Now, don't be nervous, just play, and don't be this kind of a show you don't have to be nervous. He doesn't have to be nervous. Beautiful tone. How long have you been studying the harmonica?
4 years.
4 years. And your, what did you say your name was?
Irving Hudson.
Irving Hudson. You know, that doesn't seem like an exciting name to me. You ought to get a name that would, mean more. A name like Rock. An exciting name like Rock. Huh?
Say, that does sound exciting.
Yeah.
Irving Rock.
Yes, that would be good. Now tell me, will you practice? How much have you practiced? Let's say today.
Well, today I practiced just for an hour.
Just for an hour, Inspector. Just for an hour.
Yes, because.
Well, why?
Well, I just went down to see that new wonderful motion picture called Lover Come Back, starring Doris Day. It was just great.
That's why you're only getting $320 here.
Irving, I saw that.
I pulled a good one.
That was Irving, I saw that picture, Lover Come Back, and it really was great. I found it not only entirely enchanting, but as I left the theater, I had a feeling of exhilaration that I...
Oh, shut up! Now, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Something else? What'd you say your name was again?
Hudson, Irving Hudson.
Irving Hudson, that's right. Well, thank you very, very much, Mr. Hudson, for coming over. And it was certainly nice, and I wish you a lot of success. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you saw him here first. And now,
Irving! We want Irving! We want
harmonica playing, evidently, you see. And now, what do you do besides playing the harmonica?
Well, in my spare time, I'm a twist instructor at the Schleppermint Lounge.
The Schleppermint Lounge? Pardon me, I didn't mean to serve it. But I don't know. I think it's a terrible dance. I don't know how anybody can even learn it.
It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah?
I can teach anybody how to do it.
Really?
You, come here. Could we have some music, please?
But I don't want it on this show. We don't want twist. But listen, it doesn't fit on my show. A twist. Fellas, a twist doesn't fit on the show. Dennis, a twist. Dennis, a twist.
But I want to remind my friends that in the next 10 days, I'll be in Miami, Hartford, and Baltimore as violin soloists with their symphonies. Hope I'll see you at the benefit concerts. Good night.
The Jack Benny program is a J&M production. This is Don Wilson saying good night. This program is pre-recorded.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. We have another great Jack Benny show for us with a lot of great folks to chat about it. Today's episode is kind of Jack does a great spoof of the Jack Paar show and does a fantastic job and has Hugh Downs on the show. I know Hugh Downs more from 2020. He was on that for 15 years, so a long run on there. And I just did a little bit of reading about it this week, and I was like, I did not realize Barbara Walters kind of was like a special feature he'd have on there, and then she started to feature more and more, and then she became co-host of the thing. But what I didn't know is from I think it's 65 until 71 or something like that, she and Hugh Downs were co-hosts of another show, another news show that they did. I don't even remember the name of it, but I just thought, oh, that would be interesting to see some of that if it existed, the footage still. But because I enjoyed them together on 2020, but here we get to see a much younger Hugh Downs and still coming across as basically Hugh Downs. I mean, I didn't see much difference between later Hugh Downs and this Hugh Downs, really. Great voice for sure, and that makes sense that he is an announcer, and he was an announcer on the Jack Paar show, so this ties into the whole Jack Paar thing. But let's go around and get everybody introduced, and then we'll move on from there. We have Terry Phillips here. Hey, Terry.
Hello.
Hello. We have John Henderson. Hey, John.
Hello.
Oh, and most of us are wearing hats still, so there you go. And we talked about the hats in the last episode. Go dig that up, the other Jack Paar one. And we have, of course, Kathy Fuller-Seeley. Hey, Kathy.
Howdy, hook 'em.
And Hope Sears. Hey, Hope Sears.
Hello.
It's wonderful having all you guys here for these great episodes. I mean, it's just neat how these both tied in. We just played the other Jack Paar one and just introduced it. So, and you're going to be getting both of these together anyway this time, and probably every time. I'll probably just keep moving them around, have them always linked together. Anyway, let's since this is after the episode, which I love that we do these after the episode now, so we don't have to worry about spoiling and everything. I'm just going to tell you my favorite part had to be the now we're to the part of the show where we bring up the relative of a famous actor or whatever, and then they bring out the dog that is, of course, immediately you go, oh, it's Lassie. It's really, you don't even need the punchline. You don't even need them to talk anymore. Almost they could just bring the dog out and that's it. And I mean, whoever wrote that, brilliant idea, just a nice brainstorm of an idea to use that works brilliantly. And we've all seen those segments on shows where they, it's a good way to save money. You don't need to have this big actor, but you can have a tangential person to that big actor. But yeah.
Well, that made me think I'd like to see, some of these segments from Jack Paar. You always see the interviews with famous people, but I feel like the more interesting part are these things. Like in the last episode, there was a thing where he was doing like memes where it was like pictures of babies and then he made comments. And in this one, the celebrity relative thing, I feel like those are the more interesting parts of a talk show. And I always love the celebrity relatives and like seeing those. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show that's on now called Claim to Fame, but it's hosted by the other Jonas Brothers, the ones that aren't famous, and they have a room full of celebrity relatives, and they each have to try to figure out who the other person is, and it's so fun to play along and try to see if you can recognize them. So
yeah, my wife and I watch it all the time. Love that show. Yeah. Well, and just for John's sake and for everybody else's sake that's listening, I mean, Jack Paar, they had a set of DVDs that came out that was kind of a retrospective of his career, and they present a number of entire episodes. So it's definitely worth picking that up. I've got it around here somewhere. But I really enjoyed watching the old show. Because like John, I enjoy clips, but if I can see the whole show in context and even the minor, because when you show clips, you're never going to show the clip like the Lassie section on this, which is the relative of the famous person. You're always going to see, Rock Hudson and Jack Paar. You're going to see whoever the big name person is, and Jack Paar, that part of the show. But I think the other parts of the show are so interesting, and the whole Charlie Weaver thing that we've talked about last time. You might not get any shot of Charlie Weaver, and this way you'll get that if you get the whole show, sort of thing. So anyway, did I finish introducing everybody? Did I stop in the middle? I'm lost. I think I got everybody.
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with let's go to Terry this time. Terry, what stood out for you on this show, or what? And the other thing, Terry, that I don't think we got mentioned last time, I definitely had what knowledge. Not I hadn't. I was born after the Jack Paar show came with it. He was doing the Tonight Show, but I was definitely an awareness there. I definitely remember him appearing on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He did multiple interviews with Carson where he'd appear on the show. He always came across as an intellectual. I've got books. I've got the bent sword, bent something that, and people will know because that's one of his famous books. But he wrote probably 5 or 6 books, quite a few books really, and they're really funny to read. They're really well written. He's quite the writer, and so I love reading about Jack Paar. Anyway, I didn't know if you knew much about Jack Paar at all, or whether.
Well, I was a kid when the Jack Paar show, when the Tonight Show with Jack Paar was on, so I didn't stay up that late to.
Right.
But I was certainly aware of him, and then as with all of you, I've seen episodes of Jack Paar hosting the Tonight Show, and he just had some of the most amazing guests, people who wouldn't agree to go on other shows or weren't allowed to go on other shows. And
he would, unlike Johnny, he would break the format of the show. The format was very loose on the Jack Paar show.
Yeah.
So he, at least his version of the Tonight Show, he would break the format and do long form interviews with someone if he had a politician on or something.
Yep.
He
would go out of the studio too. He'd film things on location,
yes,
and show those as well. Hugh Downs, I first remember when he hosted the game show called Concentration. I don't know if I don't think that's still on anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's on somewhere, because it seems like they brought everything.
Well, it's probably, reruns are probably on the game show network. But
yeah.
No, but there could
be a version with somebody famous doing it now on some.
But Hugh Downs got into radio announcing when he was still a college student.
Wow.
Then he announced for a lot of famous shows. He was one of Sid Caesar's announcers, not your show of shows, but he did I think he was part of the Monitor cycle of shows, and Hugh Downs was his announcer. And then you mentioned a show that he co-hosted with Barbara Walters before 2020. I think that was Not for Women Only, which was the first show than his, but they did that together. I found a very weird fact when I was researching for this conversation. So he hosted 2020. Hugh Downs died in the year 2020. How weird is that?
Wow.
And he was 99 years old. He lived a good, long.
Wow.
I remember all that year long, whenever I would say the date, I would say 2020, just because in my head, the word 2020 is said by Barbara Walters.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked about Hugh Downs was that he was a pilot. He had a private pilot's license and flew quite a bit.
Well, what did you think about him on this show? Did you enjoy his performance?
I thought he was, this is evidence of how people can go beyond how they are defined. Yes. So he was defined as an announcer, but he was clearly much more than that. He wasn't a trained journalist. He wasn't a news reporter, but he had those skills. He was good at presenting sometimes very difficult, complicated information in an understandable way. He had great elocution. I mean, he was a really well-spoken person. But he wasn't just a guy who read a script. He was a really good communicator. And that's a skill that, for my money, is lost today. There aren't a lot of people who can do what Hugh Downs did and have a sense of humor about it. Yes. He was pretty darn funny in this thing.
Well, the whole piece,
I don't know if it was
between him and Dawn was just so fun. And you look, that's what Benny's writers are so good at. They'll take something that makes sense. You go, oh, here's something that could be fun. And they'll take it and run with it and figure out a way to make it great. I mean, between Dawn's getting pissed off at the whole thing. And
the genius was that both of these guys were, for Jack Benny, they were the straight man. They weren't the ones telling the jokes.
Right.
But they were hilarious.
Oh, it was. They were great. And it was wonderful. The interweaving of both of them, I think, was just fantastic.
I think that it was a brilliant idea. Like, I don't know how they came up with it. Like, to be able to recognize that Hugh Downs would be able to pull this off, to rattle off those words and then come up with, I think I think it's hilarious when he starts reading the commercial, but he's playing it off as a compliment. Like, the way that you said that this, and then he reads the commercial better than Don Wilson does, and you start to see Don Wilson getting nervous. It's so great.
And I have one last factoid that I wrote down here. Hugh Downs was born in the year 1921, same year my dad was born, and his birthday was February 14th.
Oh, yay. All the best people.
There you go.
Babies, Jack. Wow. And nice.
Well, I want to jump for a second on what John just said about Don and his acting there. Don is always surprising us with the things he does. This is the first time I can remember Don looking at having to act like threatened, like oh, now I'm worried about my job or whatever. I mean, he has before on the radio show, but I haven't seen him do it too much on this. And I thought he did a great job of that. He just seemed like, oh my gosh, you're stepping into my territory.
Especially after he was insisting that he point out Hugh Downs in the crowd, right? And
yes.
Jack's like, no, we don't have time for that.
Well, that's what makes it so great. Is they it's like they write forward and backward. They're like, okay, this is a funny bit. Oh, but now if we make it where we get him out of the crowd and where it's totally on Don. This is Jack doesn't even want him on the stage. And then he basically tries to steal Don's job. It makes it doubly hilarious because of that piece. And then without that piece, it wouldn't work as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then later when, they're doing the Jack Parr bit, and again, Hugh Downs rattles off these complex speeches, but he's saying it as though it's just off the top of his head, as if he's ad-libbing. Like, he really does an incredible job in this episode.
He does. He's fantastic. Well, Hope, what do you think about this episode and what stood out to you?
I love this episode so much. Just Jack Benny doing Jack Parr's mannerisms is just absolutely. I don't recall really seeing Jack imitate someone a lot. I mean, there's moments where he'll sometimes imitate, but this is a whole long drawn out bit, and it's great. The over exaggeration of the clapping, the all of the mannerisms, and just being so excited.
And the whispering, fake whisper,
and all of this is so brilliantly put together. Even Dennis Day, I made a note of, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but I would have to think that they did, I don't know if you notice the hair keep going forward.
Yeah.
The little tiny tuft would keep going forward, and I have to feel like that was on purpose. And how brilliantly they would have to put that together so that it goes that, and then it snaps back, and it's but it's great. And it's just such a minute little detail, but it just goes to show how hard comedy, you work for a comedy. And the Lassie bit, of course, hilarious. But I wrote down, this is another way they could have gone with it, is Jack was in George Washington Slept Here, and they had a little dog, right? And the celebrity mother of that dog was Toto from yeah. So could have done a whole bit with his movie and Toto. But yeah, that was really cute. The Lassie bit was one of the best. And then just this whole episode, and then to throw The Rock on top of it. We want Irving.
Well, that's what's funny. I was just thinking that myself. I was like, we spent this whole time talking about all these things in this episode, and probably at the time, the biggest thing on the episode was the Rock Hudson was on there, and we haven't even mentioned Rock Hudson yet. But I'm glad you brought him up. So,
and I was like wondering, like, how early was this into his career? And then he mentioned all those movies, and I was like, oh, well into his career and stuff that I grew up watching these Rock Hudson movies with my mom. That's probably how I got into old movies and stuff, is back at she doesn't watch them now, but she used to watch these old Rock Hudson movies and Doris Day movies. And just that's fantastic. And the bit about him, it's all a state, like sex appeal, it's all a state of mind.
Yeah.
Was fantastic. It was hilarious.
and I don't know how far they are into the Doris Day films with him or not at this point, because he was this is exactly a dozen years into his career, because I know he got his start in 1950.
Yeah, he's promoting Lover Come Back, which after, and they'd already made Pillow Talk, so they're very much the top romantic comedy screen.
There you go. Yeah. And before that, I mean, he was in huge films like Giant with James Dean and everything. I mean, that's about as big as it gets.
I don't know those. I'm in the Doors.
He's so tall.
Oh yeah.
You put him next to little, makes Jack look so. It's a wonder he didn't climb up into his arms or something like he did with the other Western actor.
Western actor, yes, from Cheyenne. Yeah, that was great when you did that piece. I was kind of expecting the same thing. I was like, is he going to climb up there? But he didn't. But Rock Hudson did a great job too of, especially when he was on the talk show piece of it, and was supposed to be, kind of nervous and all of that. And he did a fun job playing that.
And tripping on command. That's not easy. So
now, with Dennis on here, to me, he didn't sing a song. He wasn't that, he was featured, but not. It was weird. It was sort of like he was almost like Dawn is on so many episodes, sort of just fit in where we need to fit in. But his playing the piano was pretty hilarious, I thought. And that was.
You mean as Jose Melis?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I was wondering about, is he the band leader for Jack Paar or something?
He was.
Like what impression was it?
Yeah, he was his band leader.
Yeah.
Before
and to see Dennis do an impression that was strictly physical, pretty much, because there was, at least in the piano playing, obviously he wasn't playing the piano. And
and with those fake teeth, he actually did. Jose Melis did kind of look like that.
Okay.
With big glasses
and the glasses, yeah. I can't remember. Was Skitch Henderson, Jack? Who's band leader? Oh, I think he was Johnny Carson's band leader before Doc Severinsen.
Yeah. Was he really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Henderson goes back to like the Bing Crosby show and Bob Hope show and that sort of thing too. So yeah. I think Bob Hope show was Skitch Henderson. Yeah, because he was really thin. I think wasn't that the joke about him where they would always play up on his being thin, kind of like they did Frank Sinatra.
Skitch Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was kind of thin.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't Frank Sinatra then.
No. No, but I'm saying back whenever you have somebody that like appears over 25 years, it's like they could be known at a section of their time like being something, and then it doesn't work anymore because now certainly Sinatra, you couldn't joke about him being a thin kid in 19 57, and it wasn't anymore. He filled out a lot, but yeah, for a huge amount of time they talked about that. And so you get these people that flow through things, especially if you have a talent like you're a musician, a band leader, or whatever, and you'll be on multiple shows, and you get known for different things on the different shows where they play up parts of your personality and not. Anyway, Kathy, what were your thoughts?
Well, I wanted to go back to Hope's great comment about this was a rare time in which Jack Benny is doing an imitation of someone else.
Yes.
And enjoying it tremendously.
And
Because there are not that
form.
many. He does a good Jackie Gleason in The Honeymooners.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Johnny Carson imitating Jack Benny. I don't think there's Jack Benny imitating Johnny Carson. So from what I can find from all the way back to Jack's early radio days, he was fairly uncomfortable doing imitations. I know a couple ones where he says, I'm uncomfortable doing a Yiddish accent. I just can't do that very well at all. And so I was trying to come up with the number of times. He does a pretty good Charles Boyer. But as I said, Jack's forte is not imitations, and so
he does, Fred Allen too.
Yeah. Okay. With a clothespin in his nose.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good point. But otherwise, not very many. And so to see the glee with which he gloms onto this.
Well, the only times he really does it, and now that you think about it, is like when they're doing film takeoffs and things, or he'll take on the characteristics of one of the main actors in the film or something. But as far as his regular show goes, that's Dennis's domain and not really Jack's at all.
So when he's Captain O'Benny, he's basically himself. And I said, being unusual, it was great to see what looked like Jack's absolute glee in taking on this role. So
as far as now that I think that we're mentioning Jack doing bits, whatever, imitations or creating something.
He does a great Gracie Allen.
Yeah. Yes, he does. He does. Well, and as far as his own characters, where he creates something new or sort of new, I mean, I can think of the Buck Benny character that he created has a certain voice to it, a certain style to it that he keeps coming back to over and over again. And then the other one is I guess there's two other ones. His old man character that he uses all of the fantasy, New Year's fantasy stuff, and he uses it other times too. And then the third one is his Zeke or whatever is his hillbilly sort of voice. Those are the three biggies that I can think of that he goes back to over and over again that aren't copying someone. They're sort of creating his own thing. Can you guys think of any more that he does besides those three? I think those are.
No, I think that's.
I'm just wondering, like, what makes him feel so comfortable with doing Jack Parr? Is it that he feels like did Jack Parr kind of be like, I love that, or like
I kind of was thinking that too. I was thinking like this could be considered a mean impression if they didn't have some kind of rapport or relationship.
Right.
I think he doesn't come across like that he's got a problem with him.
And but I would also wonder too, because Jack Parr was known to be very temperamental, and he had a very he could be one way either way. So one way this day, different the next. So I'm wondering how does Jack feel so comfortable with that?
Well, he's comfortable with it, but Jack Parr never speaks to him again for the rest of his life.
Well, this show was aired within 1 month of Jack walking off his show. So
we blame Jack Benny for Jack Parr walking off his show. He was so mad at this
for a whole
thing.
month.
He brought
I
Jack.
didn't realize I'm such an idiot. I refuse to act anymore.
Hey, I have a question.
My feeling is with Jack Parr and Johnny Carson are in sort of the same vein. They loved Jack Benny. They based a lot of what they did off of Jack Benny. They're probably the two people that copy Jack more than anybody else. And they admit that they do that. And I think Jack felt very comfortable with both of them and playing around with the fact that they steal everything from him. So why can't he imitate them? They're sort of doing a pseudo imitation of him every night. So why not grab onto it there?
That does make sense. That makes more sense. And but the glee that he gets out of it is just absolutely so fun to watch.
Yes.
That it's like wild abandon of an imitation. And it's so good because my gosh, like even seeing interviews with Parr on Johnny's show, it's just like he still has those mannerisms like throughout his life, and they don't go away, and they're very I don't know.
He's Mr. Energizer in so many ways. He just has to emphasize
he has
everything.
This inner energy. And I don't know. I have kind of a weird relationship with Jack Parr because I find him so fun to watch on certain things, and then other times I'm like, whoa, buddy. Like too much of a personality that's coming off as rude. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say with this whole thing, I'm not the biggest fan of reaction videos where people are like play somebody's song and they're like their first time supposedly hearing a Prince song and they're like, oh my gosh, and you just know they're like, oh, it's like, okay, dude, it's great, but it's not. Or this is the first time of them hearing Let It Be. Oh, this is amazing, because I didn't have that reaction when I first heard Let It Be. Anyway,
well, it was Take Five of the first.
Of the one person I would pay good money to see a reaction video would be if somebody just took a camera and filmed Jack Parr watching this show and seeing what his I think he would either be
AI can
delighted and just laughing of rolling on the floor, or else he would be really pissed off. I don't know.
That would be he would be one person that would be so fun to watch reaction videos of, because he would genuinely mean every single reaction.
Yes, agreed. Terry's been going to say something here.
I have a really arcane question. The guy who brought the dog onto the set and then led him off, I wonder if that was Red Weatherwax. Couldn't see his face.
But that's what I thought. It was, no, I don't even know who that is. So.
The trainer?
The one who trained Lassie.
Oh, yeah. Oh. I wonder if
I don't know. Lassie. I feel like
I would think it was Lassie, really, probably. I mean, that's the gorgeous.
I don't think it was Lassie.
Okay.
Well, there was never just one Lassie. They have 8 or 9 around. The stunt Lassie who jumps, stunt Lassie who swims, Lassie who cries.
Yeah. And wasn't Lassie always theoretically a male dog, but it was always played by female dogs every time?
No, it's the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Lassie's a girl's name.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Laddie.
It would be Laddie. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. I knew there was something about that.
Yeah. Obviously, never been to Scotland.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yes. It was great. Well, anything else with this episode that we have?
I have to admit that I feel like I did not appreciate the Jack Parr stuff, and I think it's because I don't know Jack Parr well enough. Because like the audience is going nuts, and I'm like, okay, so he's doing this. So I don't know, but I loved the rest of the episode. I love the stuff with Rock Hudson. Sometimes I wonder if Jack Benny has all of these kissing bits because he wants to find an excuse just to kiss ladies, or if it's because like a shocking thing at that time, because he's been doing them since like the 30s.
Right.
And he seems to go back to that quite frequently, but I thought this was done really well and it was quite funny.
I was thinking the same thing, John. I loved the Rock Hudson piece where he kisses her on the forehead and she passes out. I thought that was so much funnier than if he kissed her on the lips. So I was like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And I love the Hugh Downs stuff. So all of the other stuff I really liked. And I thought it was interesting that they did the twist at the end. What year is this episode again?
62. This is February of 62. Just when my mother was teaching me to twist.
Totally. I stumbled upon this DVD that I picked up and I watched it with the kids. Let's see, I have it open on IMDb. I think it's 61. It's called Twist Around the Clock. So I went into this blind. It opens with them like sanding their shoes so that they can do the twist. And it's got Chubby Checker and Dion. But the thing that I thought was so interesting, it's about this like manager, and he goes to a small town where they've invented this new thing called the twist. But the thing that I found was interesting is they did not consider that rock and roll. The character is like, listen, rock and roll had its time, but rock and roll is dead. We've got the next thing, and it's called the twist. And guess what? Even old people can do it.
Jack is
it was a style of dance that anyone could do, and that it makes it a rarity.
You didn't need a partner. That was one of the biggest things about it, was that anybody could twist. So.
Well, and like John's saying, it was so funny seeing everybody on the whole cast, essentially, because I didn't think it would go that far. And then even when they throw it off to Dawn does it too. I'm like, this is great. And they were doing the twist. It was that old style twist. They were doing it just right. I was impressed. So yeah.
We should try to make a list of all of the weird dance craze names.
Oh yeah.
The mashed potato,
the bunny hop,
the Watusi,
the turkey trot,
the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
the
swim, whatever that one is. Yeah.
There's a Beatles song where like John Lennon or somebody starts, or maybe it's on Revolution 9. It's like the Watusi, the twist. Yes. Like I feel like we've got that list, and it's in that Beatles song.
Been there, done that. Okay.
Anybody else have anything for us to?
No.
Well, I'm glad we brought up the twist part. I'd forgotten about that, and that was funny. That was good. So,
Jack
really a good
Parr,
episode throughout. Yeah.
Jack Parr himself actually appeared on a show in '61, but just one of like random people in the audience. So just playing a tiny role. So when looking for all things Benny in television in Laura's book, I looked up Jack Parr. This episode did not come up, but this one from '61 where it's actually a Phil Silvers episode. Huh. So I will put in an amendment. How about Jack Parr imitation? I will write in her.
Bonus points if anybody knows Rock Hudson's real name.
Irving.
Roy, Ray. What?
Roy's his first name. It's Roy Harold Shearer Jr. His father's name was Roy Harold Shearer. No big surprise that he went with Rock Hudson.
Yeah. What's Cary Grant's? Cary Grant has that wild name.
Archibald Leach.
And Robert Taylor is, what does Phil Harris say about
Yeah. Robert Taylor's got a great name too. I forgot what it was though. Let me think. I'm trying to think of how Phil says it over and over again.
Nobody has a better name than Benny Kubelski.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
There you go.
Benjamin Kubelski.
Yeah. Well, and you all use your real names, but of course I'm Buck Benny, so that's because Daryl just won't hack it. It's like anyway.
Whoa. Okay,
I had a question for all of us.
Robert Taylor was Spangler
Arlington Brew. That's right.
Spangler. Spangy.
Yeah. That's a great name. Anyway, the question was the as Kathy was sharing last time when we presented the previous episode, it was the last live episode from 1950, and it was 1959. Now, so this obviously isn't a live episode, but did they start using more live audiences during the filmed episodes or during parts of the filmed episodes? Because it feels like at times it's not I don't know about this particular episode. I wasn't paying that much attention, but again, it sort of felt like it wasn't. Well, certainly they were getting folks out of the audience, so they had to have at least a fake audience.
This is not canned laughter. You can.
So, Kathy, did you mean it was broadcast live, or live on?
No, the 1961. The November 59.
59.
That
Yeah, the November
that's
59.
Laura says that was the last
broadcast
live.
Okay.
But he continue at Television City. He continues to to film in front of a live audience,
Right.
and then there will be ones filmed without any kind of audience and the canned laughter.
Correct. So we're still going to have both varieties of shows somewhat.
Yeah, but nothing absolutely live and then filmed for, so broadcast live, and we only have a kinescope of it. So.
Which makes it interesting because that tells me that everything past September 59, right? Could
November 59.
November 59 would be where all of those could theoretically be in a syndication package because they're all filmed. And that's a lot of episodes. That's a lot more filmed ones than we have. We only have 104 filmed episodes in the syndication package, which is a real shame that they didn't make 80 episodes available or whatever.
Yeah, but
yeah.
That's on CBS.
What was that?
That's on CBS.
I know.
Yeah. And a certain executive that resigned in shame.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're good. We'll let it go there. Hope you guys enjoy this. Just a fabulous. I mean, I'm always going to be airing these together, so you're going to see, of course, the Hugh Downs, which is half of the team, and then of course Jack Parr on the other one, and get a chance to see, of course, Jack's impression of Jack Parr. I just think they're a fun combination of two episodes to bring together, and I think it gives you a real impression of what the Jack Parr show is like, and Jack Parr, the person, what he was like. I do think, though, John mentions the Jack Parr imitation that Jack does, and I think it would mean so much more at the time to folks that were watching Jack Parr on the daily, right? Watching it every day you could, and then seeing this impression of him, because from what I've seen, it is not that over the top of an impression. It is
That's the funny thing.
Right on with the impression, and so that's what makes it so funny, is that it seems so extreme, and you're like, okay, this is, the guy is so Jack Parr himself is such an character, in that if you just inflate it like by 10%, it's like, oh my gosh, you're really blown out, and it's like, you don't have to take it far. Some people, their impressions, you really have to extrapolate to make it get into the funny range. With Jack Parr, not so much, but a really enjoyable show. So enjoy this one, and we'll see you folks next time for more Jack Benny.
This is Jack again. Now stay tuned for What's My Line on most of these stations. Gee, I wonder if they'd ever guess that I'm a violinist.
The Jack Benny program will return in 2 weeks. Next week, be sure to watch the George Gobel Show as guest Eve Arden, brought to you by Stripe. The Jack Benny program is a J&M production.